So we're back at it, the all-in-one solar inverter right here. We're going to take this up another level. Right now I've got it powering a single Delta Pro from this one. I'm going to try to wire this up so that I got two plugs coming out of it, and we'll see if it can handle the strain of trying to power two Delta Pros at once. Let's find out. All right, we got to that part. Now it's done. I've got two plugs coming out of my Calpha inverter, Calpha Solar inverter. So we're really close to testing this going. We just have to get the other power switching supply out. There it goes. It's a mirror of the other one that I have. And we're going to hook up a cable to it so that we can plug it in, and then an output to the Delta Pro. We're going to make this PC cord into our power cord. So first we're going to snip off the connector. All right, there we have it. We got the neutral, the load, and ground, which we're not going to be using in this case because of the switching supply doesn't have it, but we'll use this as our base. This is going to be our neutral and load coming in. Our ground, sorry, so we will have ground. I don't know why I said we wouldn't. And then we're going to have our output over here. Very good. Great. And last one. All right, now we've got the input all nice and snug. I'm going to go ahead and try to tuck some of these wires back inside of the housing. A little bit better. Some tape would go a long way, honestly. So we have Delta Pro number 1 coming in at 1370. Now we've got Delta Pro number 2 coming in at approximately 1000, but I think it's throttled because the Delta Pro is at 98%. So we're going to have to kind of watch this over time and see if that's the limiting factor, whether something else is at hand. Okay, we're finally back at this. It's been a hard time getting enough solar power here in Iowa in the winter, and finally we got a day of good sunlight, so I'm going to try to get both Delta Pros hooked up to the Calpha Solar inverter and see if we can power them both at full power. So you can see both Delta Pros are powered up, but I got a problem in that the top Delta Pro is pulling 1370, no problem, great. But the bottom one's throttled at 700. For some reason, this Delta Pro is treating the input source as a like a car battery, and I'm using an XT60i connector, so I'm a little I want to say confused or surprised that it's treating it that way. So I'm going to have to figure out why it's treating it as a car input instead of a, getting the full 15 amps. So back over here to the inverter. It's a little difficult to show because the one Delta Pro is now topped off at 100%, which is fantastic, which means it's really just now feeding the other one, so I can't show. It was pulling 2.5 kilowatts, and I think it's starting to drop off as well because both Delta Pros are pretty much filled up. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let me try to recap what we learned then through this whole series of experiments. One, it is possible to power two Delta Pros from the single Calpha Solar inverter. It's up to the load, so to speak, of pushing power out to two Delta Pros. However, so number one, you can do it. Number two, I'm not sure you should do it. And that is because I started getting some odd behavior, and I don't entirely know what was causing it, but both the Delta Pros would kind of like, they would kind of stutter, like they were switching back and forth between battery and pass-through. Maybe that's a better way of describing it, to the load. And I think that if you're using it with a smart home panel, they don't, the whole ecosystem doesn't play together very well. So I would not recommend using one inverter to power 2 Delta Pros and connect it to a smart home panel. Now, if you want to power 2 Delta Pros, standalone Delta Pros, using for charging them up, topping them off, and then, or even just drawing a load off of the Delta Pros individually, or even through a dual voltage hub, I think it's going to work fine for that. It won't have any problems with it. But when it's trying to use the whole ecosystem of the smart home panel, the original smart home panel, there's definitely some glitches there that make it not ideal. Third thing, which we've already known, and I could tell you this without hesitation, is it can power 1 Delta Pro no problem. It's very capable of handling that, as well as plugging in an external load to the inverter. That's how I got it set up. Mine runs every single day. It's really nice in that by about 9 in the morning, I'm already getting 1400 watts flowing into one of my Delta Pros from the Calpha Solar inverter, because I got a much bigger array connected to it. And so it can easily handle that and just keeps pumping it out to the 1 Delta Pro. So if you've got, to take this all back, if you've got a single phase smart home panel, you really only need to power 1 of the Delta Pros with it. And in fact, you could probably just go with the 1 and have an external battery bank, as well as maybe the extra batteries if you want it on the Delta Pro. That would probably work just perfectly for you. If you're trying to power 2 simultaneously in split phase, for example, through the smart home panel, then that's where it gets a little dicey. So I wouldn't recommend that. All right, that's going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry, it's kind of a meandering video because I kept trying several different things along the way to see the impact, and some of it I had to just describe because I couldn't capture it on video sometimes. So I apologize. This probably is not my best work, but I still think it was an interesting experiment, and hopefully you found it interesting as well. Until the next video, take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.